Dallas damn Cowboys. He's trying to steal something. Dave is joining us now.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, Dave? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
I love when I tweet something and then I can just take it straight to TV. Like, what's better than that?
That's how you get paid, though. Content.
Right.
Right? Ain't that what they call it? Content or something?
That's
smart.
On demand? Right. So should the Cowboys make a move to go and get George Pickens from Pittsburgh? If they can.
I would consider it. And look, that's the nature for the conversation is that I'm looking for creative ways to make the Dallas Cowboys a better team. Michael, you know, this is a team with a lot of needs and a team that doesn't have a lot of resources to do it. I mean, they got 3 top 100 draft picks. When you're talking about needing running back, receiver, cornerback, you'd probably like a defensive tackle. I'm listing off a lot of problems for the Cowboys. So how can you get creative about addressing that? You swing a trade for a proven player. Get me a vet. Get me a proven guy. If Pittsburgh really feels like they're not committed to paying George Pickens, if I could pry him out of Pittsburgh for, let's say, a day 2 pick, preferably, the Cowboys have pick 76 in the draft on Friday night. If I could have George Pickens for that pick, I'm interested. Absolutely I am, because you got so many problems to address. You got to think a little bit outside the box if you're trying to improve for this season.
You doing that, Michael?
I like what he offers, because it's a lot of what I get from Tack McMillan, the tall guy, big guy, go down the field. So I get the diversity in wide receiver between him and CeeDee Lamb. The issue is that number. Like you said, we have a lot of holes to fill and not a lot of resources to fill those holes with. Now, financial resources I'm talking about. And I see if you get Tack McMillan with that 12th pick, he's going to get a whole deal, 4 years, 20-something million. If you go and get George Pickens, he's in the last year of his deal, he's going to want to re-up, and that's going to cost you at least $20 million a year. I can get 4 years out of the rookie.
Okay.
That I'm going to have to pay for 1 year out of George Pickens.
The problem with that, though, playmaker, is I got a guy who understands how fast the game in the National Football League is versus a kid coming out of college. In experience side of things, when you remember, I don't remember what year it was, but several years ago they went and got Amari Cooper. The offense completely changed because you got a veteran guy that knew how to play and knew what to do. It depends on what the number is in terms of George Pickens.
We ain't got Amari to be a number 1, and that's a different go-get. You're going to get this receiver to be the number 2 because CD is going to be the protagonist in your offense. He's going to be the main guy. Now, this guy as a number 2. Now, you bring in George Pickens, let's be real, and he doesn't get the kind of money he wants.
But you're not going to bring him in. At least I wouldn't bring him in.
Unless you get a deal done.
I wouldn't make the trade. It would have to be a deal done before I pull the trigger on the trade. Or else I have to pass on him. But I'm thinking his number, because me personally...
Yeah, you said something crazy to me.
No, it's not crazy. Because I want the same money that T. Higgins got. What's the difference? Because I'm arguing with you.
That's a lot of money.
What's the difference?
Waddle, all of those
what's the difference between Jalen Waddle and me? What's the difference between T. Higgins and me? You can say whatever you want to say as far as my production in Pittsburgh when I didn't have a quarterback. Pay me.
That's fair.
Pay me.
I think if you're going to do a trade like this, there has to be some expectation that you're going to extend George Pickens. But you don't have to do it right away. It'd probably make your life a little bit easier. But to your point, if George Pickens insists that he wants T. Higgins money, which is it's not top of the market money, but it's best number 2 receiver or 1A, as the Bengals like to call him. If you're not willing to meet that price, you could at least let George Pickens play the year out. He's got 1 year on his rookie deal, and then we can get, and hey, do we not know that the Dallas Cowboys love to play hardball and they love to play the tag game if they can? You can tag him. You can tag him and get good production out of him.
You're asking me to come in and play for whatever that number is this year when everybody else is making $50 million. I'm making $2 million. You want me to just act like it doesn't exist?
Right, and in my final year of my contract,
don't work like that. I'm not going to give you my all.
Yeah, you can take the extension if you're willing to sign for a little bit less. If George Pickens was willing to sign for, high 20s, low 30s, we can get a deal done.
But that's basically T. Higgins.
Or excuse me, mid 20s. You're right.
Right.
Give me.
No, I'm not signing for mid 20s. Why do I have to take that?
Then we'll play it out, because that is the unfortunate situation that you're in when you're trade bait on draft weekend.
Yeah, and his issue is, I'm going to a new team on the last year of my contract. I don't know this quarterback. I don't know what they have. That puts me in a hell of a disadvantage if you're George Pickens. That's why you say, I don't go without a deal.
That is a great point as well, Michael. And look, we can criticize Dak Prescott all we want. He does get his receivers paid. He has done it many times throughout his career. If George Pickens is willing to play ball with this, even if he doesn't get a deal right away, he is going to have the numbers to command a good one come March next year. Whether it's with Dallas or
George Pickens is saying he's willing to go to the Dallas Cowboys and play out this year. And for that 76 pick, I make that move right now. But I got to make But I got to make that move before the draft, because I got to know what I'm going to get in this draft. You see what I mean? Yes. I have to make that move in the next hour, I can know what to do at 12.
I think you could do it between now and Friday. And to your point, if the Cowboys wound up drafting Tet McMillan tonight, then maybe that changes. Right. But if it doesn't work out that way, if you don't get your receiver at number 12 overall, doesn't this sound like a fantastic solution of the problem?
Right. If somehow, Genty landed in Dallas, and then we go back and get Pickens. Boy, hey, listen.
Genty and George Pickens on the same offense?
I'm flying across the moon.
We're getting some great Michael Irvin content out of that.
We'll be back. Well, I'm telling you,
Genty ain't gonna be around.
You do understand, Genty will be in Las Vegas.
This is the hope day. Everybody out here doing the same thing I'm doing, hoping and praying for their team. They're at the altar right now, begging.
Genty and Pickens still keeps Dallas. It moves them up to third. It moves them up from fourth to third in the division.
No. It puts them in the fight. It puts them right back in the fight.
It puts them right back in the fight?
Back in the fight.
Not in the fight.
Right back in the
fight. I'll say
this.
So you think acquiring two players on the offensive side of the ball
can't stop the run?
Wait, hold on, man. Why you taking my notes?
Go ahead.
I'm just asking you, Michael. You telling me right now,
you say
in your heart of heart,
I'm saying them two.
Them two players.
Them two.
A rookie and a receiver that ain't never been in this offense with this quarterback that is pretty good when he's getting the football thrown to him, is going to put y'all in the mix in the NFC East, even though Jaden Daniels can't be stopped and Saquon Barkley runs the football, something that y'all allow people to just do with y'all, do whatever they want to. You get ready to sell me on that.
I'm not selling. I'm just telling the real. Here, and when I say it, let me give you this other thing that you missed. When I say put you at the top of the NFC East, oh, holy, that puts you at the top of the NFL, because both teams from the NFC East was
I gotta
in the
get
NFC
out of
Championship game. No, it was in the NFC Championship game last year. So it puts you right back in the fight. That's real. You get those two.
At the very least, you'd have to take them seriously.
Which I don't think a lot of
people do right now.
Dak's had a great career against, when you look at his win-loss record against Philadelphia.
I understand.
You take that opportunity.
Yeah,
yes, you're back.
Philadelphia. Way long time ago. Not Philly right now, Michael. Come on, stop. Don't try to average the numbers out playing games, man. Who do you think you're talking to?
The numbers are the numbers. You can't just use them when they work for you.
Dave,
they work for other people too.
Dave, I'm going to need to check on Michael every 15 minutes after 5 p.m. In the draft. What's going on? The Titans have confirmed that they're going to sit tight at the number one spot in tonight's draft. And quarterback Cam Ward is a huge favor to land in that spot with that pick. So, Michael, can Cam Ward be a franchise-changing quarterback? Because obviously the Titans need some changes in their organization to get them back to where they once were several years ago.
Cam did some great things for the University of Miami. And I love watching him, and I went to every game. I saw him firsthand do some incredible things. So absolutely, he put us back on the map, and what he would do in Tennessee would put them right back on the map. When I look at this, man, I started thinking about when Tennessee first went to Tennessee. You remember when Steve McNair and that group went out there, man, and Steve McNair, they went on a rip of a lot of wins, and that whole city gathered together and got behind them. This kid reminds me a lot of Steve McNair. Tough, throws the ball, has quite an arm. And even I was talking to Coach Mario Cristobal today. I said, tell me what sticks out most about Cam Ward. He says all he cares about is winning. We talked about this earlier, about how much you love the game. If you're going to change an organization, if you're going to lift an offense up, the primary thing you got to care about more than anything is winning. That's what Cam Ward is. So absolutely, man, this would be, I believe he's a franchise quarterback, and I'm just happy for what he did to Miami, because now that's Miami's franchise quarterback as he's leading Tennessee.
It always somehow comes back to the Canes.
Right. But it is, man. And what he did in Miami, he could do in Tennessee. I was telling somebody one time they were throwing footballs on the field in Miami, and one of the receivers were in Fort Lauderdale throwing with Lamar Jackson. And Cam calls him and says, hey, man, where you at? We're working out now. He said, well, I'm down here throwing with Lamar Jackson, taking his selfies and all of that. Cam Ward said, you ain't catching one pass in Baltimore this year. And if you don't get to Miami right now, you ain't catching a pass in Miami. That's the kind of leadership you would need to turn a franchise, and he has.
Can he be that guy in Tennessee?
I absolutely think he can be that guy. To change a franchise, to make the Tennessee Titans respectable, and I think when you say change the franchise, I hate to say it, but it's a low bar in Nashville right now. We're talking about just being competent, being competitive. That's Cam Ward in a nutshell. He's done it at every step of his career. I mean, we don't need to rehash being a zero-star recruit starting at Incarnate Word, and now he puts Miami back on the map for the first time in memory. I still don't know where that school's
at.
Right.
100%. Right. And yet, he is about to go #1 in the draft because every step of his college career, he has done this. I'm not saying he's going to be better than any of the juggernauts in the AFC, but can he win and can he make the Titans competitive? Absolutely he can. And I think you got to look at the work the Titans have done as well. That offensive line is ready for a quarterback right now. They spent a ton of draft picks, a ton of money getting it ready for him. Calvin Ridley might not be the best receiver in football, but there are skill players there. Tony Pollard is in Tennessee. There is talent to work with. You look at his poise, you look at what he's done throughout his college career. I like the guy a lot. I think he can make a huge difference.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.